And we are live. There we go. Sorry about that, you guys. And for everybody out there, hello, hola, konnichiwa, salam, ciao, namaste. Peace to all. This is the pink elephant in the room conversation. And what we're going to discuss for today, before we even discuss anything today, if you feel this resonates with you, don't hesitate to leave any hearts. Don't hesitate to leave any likes. Tell me what you're feeling. Don't hesitate to speak about this because I want everyone's input and understanding about this as much as my own so we can grasp more and grow more as one of who we truly are. And without any further ado, let's begin with the H&M issue that happened not too long ago. H&M had released one shirt, I believe, that said the coolest monkey in town, and I believe one was the zookeeper or something like that, or the safari something. But my thought was, and I had actually done a bit of research before I even went into this to understand this. So to me, this shows race. This, I wouldn't say racism, but separation, because racism is a part of that and everything else. But it shows separation because of the simple fact that no one thought that this might not be good on someone. And it is understandable how the mom of that child can feel. It is understandable how the people who saw that may have felt one way or another. And the way I observe it is there was no thought of what the consequences could be from putting this out here. And of course the thought might be to them, bad publicity is still publicity nonetheless, and that could have been the thought process. But in all actuality, what they did not work. I don't say wrong or anything because none of that really is important or exists, but in a sense that it didn't work because the consequence was that it upset and in some way affected and harming many people who disagreed with the shirt that was worn. When I looked at the team that had worked on the shirt, and that was the one of the things, and I had already thought this way before I even looked at the team, was that most of them, I believe H&M is from Norway or something like that, I believe, in Europe, and most of them were Europeans, all white Europeans. There's nothing wrong with that. However, due to the fact that there was no thought process, there was no one else on your team who could possibly weigh in the consequences of what this could do. And it did have a big factor in destruction. Not only because of that, but you had people, especially in Africa, who destroyed those stores for what they did to that one child. And this is what I mean by it had an effect, I would say, mentally on people's psyche of what they did. And how does this conclude with the separation and everything, like we said? On top of just saying that, and the reason why people felt this way, you have to understand there's a long lineage of people being called that who are black just like me, or dark skinned just like me. And that plays a major role in how people feel about a certain thing you put out there. It doesn't matter what you put out there, but there are many things on top of that, and we'll get into this. I'm just gonna get into it a little bit. There are many things in the world that people get upset about, and this is just due to ignorance, which is an illusion, just like separation is an illusion. We believe ourselves to be separate people in separate places living separate lives. No, and like I said, I can understand how you feel about that one way or another, and I'm as outraged as you because of the simple fact, like I'm telling you right now, when I went through this, when I was shown the people who worked on these clothes for that line, there was no other people. It didn't even matter if they were dark skinned or black or anything. It could have been anyone. It could have been Indian, Asian, or whatever, just to make you think that I don't know if this is a good idea. And this is where I state that it does not work. Hold on just a sec. There we go. It does not work. It does not work to create a shirt that causes separation. If the best way I can put it, and I tell people this all the time, if you desire to unify people on this planet, to help people, putting out shirts, putting out things in social media that are creating separation does not work. It does not work to do that, because we it doesn't even matter now. Time and time again we've seen this, that it does not work to put out separation, because it causes havoc. It causes people to get upset, and it sometimes, at the on all honesty, it is there's no real problem with getting upset, because the reason people are upset because they fear no one is listening to them. By taking action through their anger is them, no matter who you are out there, you, whoever you are, taking action to say no to something you dislike. So the question would be, how do we get past this? And the best way you can get past all of this, truly, is by, first of all, no matter who you are out there, understand that you are all one. As the first thing you need to look into, is seeing that you are all unified, you are all one being, and looking at each other like that. Because when you look at each other like that, you will treat people a lot different. It might not be easy. It's never going to be easy. But slowly but surely, you will treat people in a way where you see them as yourself. 2, you need to be understanding of everybody's issues and position. Nobody is perfect, and this is something that most people are not willing to do. They're willing to defend how they feel, but they're not willing to understand the other person. And that's a difficult thing for some people, especially if you grew up with something where it's been stuck in your mentality. So you have to be willing to understand the people around you, and by understanding them, you understand that they're not alone. Even the people you may not even agree with, but it leads to a conversation. 3, unconditionally loving people, period, is vitally important. Being gentle with people, and it might not always be perfect. There are going to be times where you're going to be mad, and like I said earlier, your anger shows the fear of something you don't like, and you are taking action on that. To me, it is very upsetting that it had to go that far without a second thought of anything. However, in the wise words of a mentor of mine, Dick Gregory, this is a game they play. And this is why I don't worry too much about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it upset me. It was quite disappointing that the idea didn't cross someone's mind that this might not be a good idea. And it doesn't matter what you say at the end of the day to me about, well, we didn't know or anything. No. Consequences are consequences, not punishments. Consequences are consequences. If you eat a lot of red meat, the consequence might be that you might get cancer. If you drink a lot, the consequence might be you might have a liver failure, you might lose a lot of brain cells. The consequence of you smoking cigarettes is that you will get cancer, most likely in your lungs or somewhere, because that is a consequence. The consequence of putting out that shirt was that it would not only cause more separation, but it would cause more destruction to their line of clothing. The whole thought process is simple. And this is the other thing, number 4. Observe everything. Everything. And don't say I observe this. I mean, actually focus on what you're seeing to the very end, unless something happens from it. And observe it. If you're observing this situation that had happened a month ago, I believe, through observation, you can tell if you observe it very closely before you just immediately judge. Because my thought was, well, I don't have all the information. I don't know if it went through a different person and just slipped on by. I didn't know. So I had to observe. I had to observe who created this, how did this get out, why did it get out, why did it get out this way, who's working with the team, and so on and so forth. And after observing that, it does not work. The team is mostly white European. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but the problem was that from that perspective, what I'm observing, they may have not thought of. Two things crossed my mind. They may have not thought of it because they were stuck in their own bubble. And the second thing is that they did think about it, and they were thinking bad publicity is still publicity nonetheless. And that is what they ran with. So observe everything for what it is and keep going one way or another, and realize that nobody is separate. We love to play this game of due to color that we are separate. We love to play the game that due to our history of how one person looks from another, we're separate. You are all the same thing. So it is a choice for you to create unity or allow this separation to keep going. Personally, I'm not about separation because it does not work. It's like saying, has hate evolved anything? And at the end of the day, hate has evolved nothing. At the end of the day, has separation evolved anything? And again lays the same answer: no, it hasn't. That is what I observe. We're in a time where we see a lot of separation, but it's okay. We see people who are seeing past this illusion. But that being said, since there is separation, observe this. For example, in America, you have a lot of people who are separated because of politics. You have a lot of people who are separated because of this president. You have a lot of people separated due to color. And the question would be, does this help? There are people being more violent from what I'm observing. There are people harming one another. There is more division in creating teams to help out other people instead of creating a whole to help out the whole. It does not work. It's literally that simple. And that's just simple observation. From what I've seen, and this wasn't just something, oh, I looked in, this has been a year since I was watching this, because I didn't know what was going to happen. And I even told someone this when all this was going down with the presidency. I didn't really care for any of that, personally. I just wanted to observe what was going to happen. And from what I observed, the separation, which got amplified by all this, does not work in the slightest. And of course, we could talk about, the lies and everything else. And of course, we all know that does not work. However, we're sticking to the nitty-gritty of this separation. And believing yourself to be separate doesn't matter what country you're from or anything. As a matter of fact, countries alone show separatism in themselves. Because not only that, again, this doesn't even work. We can do countries. Because if we're talking about borders, we're talking about rules and regulations, the freedom of someone deciding maybe, I want to walk all the way to Europe, or I want to walk all the way to Canada, or I want to walk all the way to Mexico, or I want to swim towards Japan or walk towards Japan and go there and visit it. There's no one who would allow you to without certain rules and regulations crossed. And this, for some, we consider this to be separation. To protect those people in those countries. However, in all honesty, if we were to work as one, and if any harm came due to, let's say, an individual or several individuals who caused harm in a certain country, if we were to work together, you wouldn't really have that problem. Because you would be unified one world. You would be working towards making sure that whatever happens in a country, we get everybody to help them. We don't have that ideology because of our primitive nature of believing we need separate places, we need to be separate people, and we need to have separate ideas, so there will be winners and losers. If you are a certain color, if you are a certain gender, if you are a certain race, if you are a certain religion, if you're a certain whatever it is, you cannot be for this, or you can be for this. This does not work. So explore observing everything. And I'm not saying just by day. Take months, take years to observe what is going on before you and see truly who you are. You have to understand you are beautiful, you are amazing, you are divine people. You are the gods, the goddesses, and the creators within. Remember that to know thyself is to know the creator within. You create everything, and you can create whatever you desire if you choose so. It's up to you whether, again, you want to go with separation or unity. And I prefer unity because it grows and straightens all of us. So to everybody out there, have a good morning, have a great afternoon, and a fantastic evening. Namaste.